Hello and thank you for opening this short presentation regarding the GCSE examination for Spanish or French. We're going to talk specifically about the oral examination in this presentation. In Year 11, students will have two mock oral examinations, one in the winter PPE series at the end of November and again mid-February during the spring PPE series. The oral examinations for Spanish or French are normally the first examinations that students take in that summer exam window, and they normally begin at the end of April when we return from the Easter holidays. As we've been working through our topics in class, they've been divided into three themes, and the students record extended responses on each topic as we go. These themes are split into three booklets and colour-coded yellow, blue and pink. Versions of this is something you should be able to ask your child to show you at home. When the students sit their actual GCSE, they will have to use a general conversation and speak about two of these three booklets. The students are able to nominate the first of the booklets for this conversation, so they should over-prepare from one of the booklets that they wish to nominate. The second half of the conversation will be from one of the other two theme booklets. The students will not know prior to the exam which of those booklets they will be talking about, so they need to be well prepared on both. For the foundation exam, students should be able to speak for 2 minutes per topic and at higher 3 minutes on each theme. The number of questions they will be asked will depend on how long their responses are. For example, students whose responses last at around 10 seconds can expect to talk for 12 questions to fill 2 minutes, but 20-second responses would only need 6 questions to fill 2 minutes. Whichever theme they don't get asked for on their general conversation, they will use that as part of the photo card section of the exam. So all of the content in these three booklets is extremely important. So to be well prepared for both the oral and writing examinations, the students need to rehearse and learn the responses that they've been collating in these booklets. We're going to look at strategies to help students memorise key answers to topics. What we do need to say is that just reading them over and over in their heads is the least effective strategy. So we're going to give you some ideas of what good revision should look like. We do encourage the students to write extended responses on each topic. However, we do tell them to split those responses into 3 to make the learning more manageable. We recommend that they write them onto a revision card like this. This is a Spanish version and it's exactly the same for the French versions. You can see this student has written 3 extended responses about free time. This student might be able to recall all of this information when prompted to talk about their free time in the exam, or it might be that the teacher asks them sub-questions to help to recall the additional information in bullet points 2 and 3. It's extremely important that the students understand what they're trying to say. So having a direct English translation on the back is really important. We then recommend that students pick out the most complex bits of these responses. They are normally key verbs and tenses or complex structures such as using pronoun phrases. They should highlight them in their text so they know which bits of those answers are going to score them the highest marks. And then they should highlight the same on the English version. One part of learning is for the students just to try to remember in English the content of what they want to say when they're asked on a particular topic. So once they've practiced their responses, they should give themselves a more condensed revision card just to trigger their memory. It might look like keywords like this, or even simple pictures like this. While rehearsing for the oral examination, it's so important that the students are reading aloud. They should be reading aloud their responses and focusing on pronunciation and intonation. They can move from reading from their Spanish or French version of their revision card to turning over and trying to recall that response using just their English. Once they've done this a few times, they should aim to just use their condensed notes to see if they can rebuild the full response in Spanish or French. Once your child thinks they have mastered talking about a response from memory, they do need to check that they're not making errors. We do this in class, doing pair work. The students can also do this using their mobile phones. They can record themselves or even video themselves saying their responses from memory and then checking it against their text. But the most valuable resource is if they have a coach at home who can sit and test them. You do not need to be able to understand Spanish or French. It's just a case of sitting with your child and encouraging them to get through their responses from beginning to end, nudging them and giving them little helps and advice as they're getting stuck. And hopefully it will all work out well. And in addition to preparing their booklets in readiness for their oral and writing examinations, the students should also be working their way through the exam practice workbook or their revision guide to make sure they're well prepared for the listening and reading exams as well. We recommend alongside their revision books that they use the Bite-Size website. This is particularly useful for the listening skills, as the students are able to listen and reveal the answer at the same time. They can then read along with the transcripts, get a translation of what it means, and an explanation as to how to come to the correct answer.